Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It is the 25th of August, 2025. As always, holding the legacy media's feet to the fire because they propagandize, they gaslight, they basically massage information, they lie, and guess what, campers? You won't be trusted anymore. All right, welcome to the Monday edition of the WTF Reports. I'm your host, Davevonkleist, and as always, I've been screaming that from the rooftops for 3 decades. Do you know the word frustration just doesn't do it for me? Just doesn't do it. You know, I mean, they say the truth is never easy to find. Well, how easy is it for you to sit on your butt and with your remote and just flip through the different news networks? It's all served to you on a silver platter. And that's so easy. So if it's that easy, how much truth could there be there? Something to think about. Anyway, that said, this broadcast is being brought to you in part by the Wave Watch. If you haven't tried it out or checked it out, you really should do so, because this is Rife technology. Of course, that's based on Tesla technology. Frequency is everything. So if you haven't checked it out, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice. Please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and check out the Wave Watch. Okay, where do I start? Well, I was thinking over the weekend. Yeah, I sometimes do that, you know. Yeah, I don't like the smell that comes out of my ears, the smoke that comes out, but I'll do it anyway. But I started thinking about this. You know, we have been so accustomed to finding out that we've been lied to about all kinds of stuff, which is why for years I've been screaming about the media and about other sources of information, disinformation, misinformation, and lies. And keep in mind that if you base your opinion on misinformation, disinformation, or lies, that means your opinion becomes an extension of the lie. Common sense. Yeah, I know it's illegal, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I like to. Anyway, I started thinking about this whole thing, that it was going on with Israel, and they're just committing a genocide. I can't even say that word, can I? You could say the F word, you could say bullshit, you could say all kinds of stuff, but certain words, you can't. Well, I have to say grape instead of the other word, violation. But there are certain words that they just don't want you to say. But that doesn't stop me gonna say them anyway. That's another song I did. But anyway, I got to thinking. And of course, Israel and, those of that ilk, the Zionists and everything, they keep screaming the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust, the Holocaust, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, over and over and over again. So I got to thinking, and I did some research, and the Holocaust in World War II, they say the Holocaust, and I looked it up, it went from 1941 to 1945, a total of 4 years. Now, let's do the math and think. 4 years and they're talking about 6 million Jews were rounded up, sent into concentration camps. They were exterminated in gas chambers, and then they were cremated. All right? That's the story we've been told all of our lives. 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million. Okay, I get it. So I did some math. And if you got 6 million souls that were exterminated and cremated over a period of 4 years, well, let's do the math. Okay, 6 million over 4 years. Let's cut that in half. Well, so that would be 3 million in 2 years. Okay? And that would be 1.5 million per year. 1.5 million souls per year. All right, you divide that by 365 days in a year. That would mean that 4,109 souls would have to be exterminated and cremated every single day. Let that sink in. How could you possibly process 4,109 souls in a day? Is it settling in? You can't do that. So that's just one. That's just one of the many lies that we've been getting and the many pieces of propaganda that's been popped into our craniums our entire lives. So, and how dare you say that, Dave? Are you challenged? Are you a Holocaust denier? No, I didn't deny anything. I'm just giving you the math. Okay? Is there a sin in that? Have I committed some unholy crime? I'm just thinking. But you see, they don't want you to think. They don't want you to connect the dots. They don't want you to look at the puzzle pieces and start putting them together. So that's just one thing, all right? Now, just let that settle in. I'm going to leave that particular conversation alone. But, for those of you who know my background, you know that I've been a broadcaster for many, 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 many years. And I was on the air on September 11th. And it was a horrendous day, I have to tell you. Okay, I was getting ready. This is when I was doing the Power Hour radio broadcast with Joyce. And this is on the GCN radio network. And I was going live from, at that time, it was from 7 to 10 Central Time. I think that was the right time. Anyway, the bottom line here, as I was getting ready to go on the air, I got my news stories, and I got this, and I connected up to the network. This is when I lived in Missouri. And I connected to the network, and Jason answered the phone. Hi, Jason, it's Dave. Hi, Dave, how you doing? Okay, good. Let's check my connection. Check. Yeah, good connection. Okay, good enough, fine. Okay, how much time I got before we go live? You got about 30 seconds. Oh, okay, fine. To get my news. Oh, I got to turn on the TV monitors. Okay, let me see. I got this monitor here for CNN, and I'll turn this one on for Fox. And what? Whoa, what's going on in New York? Oh, my gosh. And, and at that point in time, the North Tower had just been hit. It was hit at 8:46 Eastern Time, and I was in the Central Time. So anyway, the bottom line here is I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm going live in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, before we play any music, before we do intro to the show, listen carefully. I need you to run, don't walk, to your television set. Put in a tape and start recording any network that you can, any TV station that you can. Something horrible is going on in New York City. So all over the country, and again, this is when I was doing the Power Hour on the GCN network, and our show was coast to coast, and we had, about 65, 70 radio stations all over the country that were carrying this. And so all over the country, people who were listening, they went to their TV sets, and they got a VCR tape and stuck it in the machine and started recording. And that was at 9 o'clock, straight up Eastern Time. At 9:03, we all saw the second tower, the South Tower, get hit live. And we were, of course, just shocked. Needless to say, it was a horrendous day of broadcasting. It was horrible. Anyway, I'm just giving you a little bit of history background because I want to touch upon this 9/11 thing because it's coming to rear its ugly head once again, and we better be paying attention. So anyway, about 2 weeks later, GW was at a news conference. And of course, that whole period of time, the news was just all about 9/11. It was all about the towers and all about the Pentagon and all about Pennsylvania, And anyway, GW got on a news conference and he said, we got to stop showing these terrible attacks on America no more because America needs time to heal. So the networks stopped showing the attacks. They stopped showing a lot of the videos that had gone out live. Well, at the same time, I started getting videotapes in the mail. I got them from all over the country. And I realized that if President Bush was telling the networks, don't be showing this stuff anymore, and the networks, of course, NBC has NBC footage, ABC has ABC footage, CBS, they got their footage, CNN, Fox, they've all got their own footage, and they're not going to release it. No, they don't want that stuff out there because the president told them not to show it anymore. Well, what do you know? I ended up with a box of about 65, 70 videotapes from all over the country. And I had all the footage. I had ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox. I also had WPIX, WNEW, WOR, WJAR, all the local television stations in and around New York City. Well, after a few weeks, I started going through this footage. And what I found blew my mind. And that is why I came to realize there's nobody in the country that I could think of that would have access to all this footage. So that's what prompted me and inspired me to do the first documentary about 9/11. It was called 9/11 in Plain Sight. And if you haven't seen it, I would invite you to go. I mean, that was 20 years ago. Yeah, I know it's old news, but I'll tell you, I promise you, there's stuff on that video that you haven't seen, that you don't know about. So I would suggest that you go to my website, Davevonkleist.com, and there's a button there that says 9/11 stuff. Okay, so click on that, and you'll have access to some of the stuff that I put out there about 9/11. Now, a lot of people say, why would this happen? Why? How about the que bono? Who benefits? All right, well, let's look at history for a little bit. All right, let's turn the clock back to the 1990s. All right, now keep in mind that in the 80s, the USSR had collapsed. All right, they were recovering from a massive, setback. And they were not looking like much of a threat to the United States. I mean, how many world powers were there back in the 90s? You've got China, Russia, and the United States. They're the big three world powers. So, was Russia a bit of a threat? No. Well, what about China? Well, China's our biggest trading partner. All you got to do is go to Dollar General or Walmart or any of the, major retailers and look at how much stuff is made in China. No, China wasn't a threat for world war. All right? So, keep those two little countries in mind, China and Russia. No threat at that time. Now, let's look at another issue here. It's the military-industrial complex. Shik-shing. All right? The military-industrial complex makes money from war. So, common sense. Are they feeling financially secure, or are they feeling financially insecure if there's no threat of war? They like war. They make money from war. So they don't like it when there's no war. They love to have war. All right? So, and the military-industrial complex, of course, there are a lot of very powerful people in government that benefit and have, stocks and shares and all of these, Boeing and, Northrop Grumman, et cetera, et cetera. And they want their money. All right? So I'm putting down the couple puzzle pieces. It's up to you to put them together. So in the 1990s, if there's no threat of real big war with China or Russia, and the military-industrial complex is not feeling too happy about no threat of war, they want a war. Okay? Okay, now put that, so that's one burner. Okay, I'm going to put this here, 1990s, no threat of war. Let's put that on this burner on the stove. Now we take the military-industrial complex and their lust for money, put that on this burner of the stove. Now, let's turn on another burner and take a look at what was going on with the World Trade Center in the late 90s. In 1999, the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, went to the Port Authority. Now, the Port Authority owned the Trade Center at that time. And they went to the Port Authority and they said, hey, look, we got a problem with these two big towers because they're loaded with asbestos. And that's got to be cleaned up. We all know it causes cancer and all these problems, so you've got to clean the towers of the asbestos, and we'll give you 10 years to do it. Otherwise, it has to be shut down. So, how, dear campers, how do you remove the asbestos from the World Trade Center towers? Now, keep in mind that asbestos is applied right to the bones of the building, right to the girders. It's all over the place. And if you're going to strip the building, you've got to pull out all the drywall. You've got to take everything out of there. You've got to strip it down right to the girders. And then you've got to sandblast this crap off of the building. And that's going to throw it into the air. Oh, that's not going to work. Oh, my gosh. And not only that, but it would cost billions of dollars to strip that place down, tear off that asbestos, and then rebuild it? Okay, so that's a real problem. That's a big, big problem. Not only that, but of course the trade centers are right in Wall Street. You're going to be stripping that stuff and sandblasting it and having it go all over Wall Street? No, that's not going to happen. So they got a real problem on their hand. All right, so let's put that problem on this burner over here. All right, so now we got 3 burners percolating, okay? Now, let's move to another issue. There was the Project for the New American Century that came out. And they say, and with no threat of war, of course, what they want to do is they wanted to be able to maintain control or obtain control of the Middle East. That was their project for the New American Century. They want to have, General Wesley Clark was talking about they were going to have, 7 wars in 5 years. Go ahead and look it up. But in the Project for the New American Century, in order to mobilize and get the support of the American people to be able to have a military intervention in the Middle East, they said that they needed, and I quote, a new Pearl Harbor event. Something to galvanize the American people and get them behind the military's intervention or involvement in Middle Eastern affairs. So they needed a new Pearl Harbor, a new Pearl Harbor. I'll say it again, a new Pearl Harbor. Okay, they needed a big thing to happen. So, how do you get rid of the asbestos? How do you get rid of these 2 buildings? You can't tear them down, okay? You can't just have a controlled demolition and take it. I mean, there's just no way that they could do anything with that. So, how do you get rid of these buildings and galvanize the American people to get behind a new war? Wow, how could they do that? Well, how about a terrorist attack? Yeah, then there's nobody to blame. Yeah, we could blame it on some Middle Eastern. Yeah, blame it on some Arabs. Yeah, that'll work. Yeah, that would work. So you have to ask the question, who benefited from the 9/11 attacks? All right? Are you putting the puzzle pieces together? I'm not the only one thinking like this. As a matter of fact, Bibi Netanyahu was thinking about it. Here's a little audio clip. I forget who this gentleman is here, but give a listen to this little conversation.
You think Benjamin Netanyahu cares that 3,000 Americans died on September 11th because Mohammed Atta was taking revenge for what Israel had done in Lebanon? No. And you know how I know that, Lex? He told the New York Times in an interview on September 11th. It's very good.
Listen.
You want to pull that up?
It's not just Clinton. Like, he shows, even just, let's just take it to today. Benjamin Netanyahu seems to show a lot of continued disrespect towards Donald Trump. Like, this is the Donald Trump is the president of the most powerful country
and the best friend
Earth.
he ever had. Move the embassy to Jerusalem, recognized Israel's seizure of the Golan Heights, wrangled these phony Abraham Accords, which we're about to describe here in a minute, did all of this for him. Has only barely talked him out of annexation, but said, we'll get to it though, buddy, it's cool, just wait, on full annexation of the West Bank last time around. Clearly it's the agenda this time. Clearly Trump's wrapped around his little finger, and still he has nothing but contempt. And I wish that someone would tell Trump, listen, pal, you might as well be a Palestinian to this guy. He doesn't care about you at all. He doesn't care about our country at all. Back to my question about Mark Dubowitz, my hypothetical here, which goes for all pro-Israel factions in the United States.
Okay, so let's put puzzle pieces together. Okay, now I'm going to put that together with Max Egan and Amy Goodman, all right? Give a listen to this. You put the puzzle pieces together, folks. It all fits together oh so nicely. Listen up.
Netanyahu said in a book in the 1990s that if we don't see the threat of militant Islam, then pretty soon militant Islam will bring down the World Trade Center.
The West really doesn't understand militant Islam. So I wrote a book in 1995, and I said that if the West doesn't wake up to the suicidal nature of militant Islam, the next thing you'll see is the militant Islam is bringing down the World Trade Center.
Okay, stop it right there. He said that in 1995. Yeah.
Nice prediction there. Just a bit of psychic, was he? You know, like it's got Israeli fingerprints all over it. And with any of that sort of stuff, you just got to say, you know, cui bono, who benefits? And the only people who benefited from 9/11 is Israel, and even Benjamin Netanyahu said that as well. So the one thing we are benefiting from at the moment is the attack on the World Trade Center.
Netanyahu said, quote, "We're benefiting from one thing, and that is the attack on the Twin Towers and Pentagon and the American struggle in Iraq."
I mean, they do these false flag attacks all the time. How much evidence do people need? And what would be the benefit for the Arab world blowing up Twin Towers? I mean, how have they benefited from this?
That's a good question, Max Egan. How did they benefit? They didn't.
Have a look at Iraq. Have a look at what we've done to the Arab world since that event happened. And look what Israel has got from that event happening, and ask yourself, who benefits?
Who benefits?
The American government rounded up 200 Israeli operatives after 9/11, during their 9/11 sweep operation, and deported them back to Israel. The Israelis invented modern terrorism. They admit it. That's what they used to oust the British from Palestine and take over Israel in 1948, and they've been doing it ever since. But they learned early on to make it look like Arabs and Muslims did it rather than Jews.
You look at Larry Silverstein, who's a terrific owner in New York and a very
That's
good friend of
Trump.
mine who I just called. I was very worried about him because I assumed maybe he was in the building. He took possession of the building 1 week ago. As you know, he just bought the World Trade Center.
Right.
Lo and behold, two Jewish billionaires buy two asbestos-filled buildings that are half empty, of which the Port Authority was attempting to get out from under the liability and debt associated with these worthless buildings. Two Jewish billionaires named Frank Lowy and Larry Silverstein buy these buildings, and the fact is, the literal, truthful, undeniable fact is that when they purchased the lease on the Twin Towers, they literally transferred billions of dollars of liability over to themselves, because the cost to extract the asbestos was in the billions.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I've been saying for 25 years, folks. And people are just now starting to wake up to it. Yep, it would have cost them billions of dollars to clean up those buildings. And oh, by the way, the one thing that they didn't mention is when Larry Silverstein purchased the Trade Center, he had them insured for terrorist attacks and doubled the insurance payback. Wow. Again, who benefits? Who benefits?
You think Benjamin Netanyahu...
Oh, okay, stop that here. All right. I just wanted to throw that out there because, the specter of 9/11 is rearing its head once again. People are now starting to look at that. And we heard about the dancing Israelis. Remember that one? The woman that saw there was a panel truck outside of her window in New Jersey in a parking lot that had a really good view of the Trade Center. And apparently these guys were there with video cameras to record the event, which means they had prior knowledge. And when the trade centers got hit, they were celebrating and dancing. And well, she called the police. The police went and found these guys, rounded them up, and sent them back to Israel. Yeah. Thought no one was above the law. But, hey, if you're Israeli, nope, they'll send you back to Israel. And then there was the issue about the truck bomb that they found on the George Washington Bridge. And luckily that thing didn't go off. That would have taken down the entire George Washington Bridge connecting New York City with New Jersey. And what happened to those guys? They got sent back to Israel. Are you putting the puzzle pieces together, folks? Now, please understand that I don't do this because I need the ego stroke or the accolades or the praise. I shun all that. And it's not about the money. That everybody knows about that. And I've been saying that. This is one of the reasons why I ejected the entire Patriot movement and the 9/11 movement back in the late 2000s, because too many activists were in it because they wanted the ego stroke and the recognition and the fame and the fortune that goes along with it. Buy my book, buy my video, get on my mailing list and get my newspaper. those are patriots, P-A-Y. No, I'm sorry, I don't fit into that category. It's not about the money or the praise, because if you're in it for either one of those reasons, you're in it for the wrong reasons. But anyway, I wanted to throw this thing out there about the 9/11 attacks because you're going to find out more. Yes, it's like a super slow-mo train wreck. And that's what I'm witnessing. A lot of people don't see it. But those of us who have been paying attention and have been connecting the dots and assembling the puzzle pieces and seeing the big picture, yeah, a lot of us see it. Unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of the population is more concerned with American Ninja Warrior or the latest movie on Netflix or their favorite sports team or something like that. You know, I mean, it's just, I got a message for humanity. Hey, humanity, did you know that your life is a test? And guess what? Most of you are failing miserably right now, allowing this carnage to go on over in Gaza. As a matter of fact, they just released, apparently one of the journalists there was in a building, and the building got hit by a missile or something like that. So all the rescue workers got in there to get him out of there. And while the rescue workers are there, another bomb went off and took all of them out. But you see, but that's Israel defending itself. Yeah, right. How many of these journalists have been murdered? Answer, all of them. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more tank by going to our website, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page and it'll take you to a window where you can visit the Get More Tank website and get all the specifications and details about how and why this stuff works so well. It's not a fuel additive. It's a fuel catalyst. Big difference. Your fuel burns at a lower temperature. And in doing so, it cleans out your engine, so your engine runs cleaner, which means lower emissions. That's good for the planet. But after you've used this stuff for a little while, a couple of tanks full, that's when you start to see the magic happen. Your mileage will begin to increase, and you'll see anywhere between 15 to 20% increase in your mileage, depending upon your make, model, and year of vehicle and what your driving habits are. Ain't no bout to doubt it, folks. You know, if for $20, it's actually $22.22, but you get 10% off when you use the promo code REDPILL101. So you start using that stuff, you get 5 tablets in a package, and if you're getting 20% better mileage, that means by the 5th tank, that's free. So you spend $20 and save a tank of gas. That's a no-brainer, and that's only with one purchase. Folks, you're going to make money, and your car's going to run better. When you hit the pedal, your car goes. You almost feel G-forces. Whoa, how did that happen? So, folks, visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and get more tank. Okay, that said, I'm just scrolling through the different social media. Of course, there's Instagram, and there's TikTok, and there's X, and there's Facebook, and stuff like that. And this is, unfortunately, because of the unreliability of the mainstream media, that's how many people all over the world are getting their news. As a matter of fact, there was a real controversial thing that's coming out in England. They're starting to realize that the regular people, no, I'm sorry, you're a second-class citizen. All of the immigrants that come in, they get to be treated like royalty. Here's a report that was on the BBC, And the folks across the pond are losing their cookies. They're furious about this. Listen to this.
Breaking alert. Shocking leaks are spreading fast across the UK tonight. Hotel staff have secretly taken photos of the buffets being served daily to asylum seekers. And what they reveal has left the public furious. According to these images, trays are filled with hot meals, fresh fruit and desserts delivered every day under government contracts.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. I got pictures of this thing, and it looks like a huge buffet at Golden Corral. I mean, there's chicken and there's beef and everything, shrimp, fish, veggies, fruits, everything.
While many British families struggle to pay rising food bills and school children line up for basic lunches, migrants are seen enjoying what many describe as restaurant-style service. One whistleblower, a staff member who requested anonymity, said, "The public has no idea. Every day, these buffets are set up, no questions asked. The costs are enormous, and taxpayers are footing the bill." The leaks have ignited a storm of outrage online. Some call it a humanitarian duty, while others see it as a scandalous misuse of public money at a time when the nation faces inflation, food insecurity, and cuts to social programs. Officials have yet to comment on the photos, but pressure is building. Activists are demanding transparency on exactly how much is being spent and why the public wasn't told. This is more than food on a table. It's a symbol of division, secrecy, and a system that many say is about to explode. Share before it disappears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unbelievable. How come they get to eat like kings? It's crazy. And ever since they've been bringing these immigrants in all over Europe, people are feeling a huge difference in their lifestyle. Again, there's a certain word that you can't say without triggering some algorithm. It rhymes with grape, and it has to do with a violation of your body. And I think you know which word I'm talking about. And I'll say it. It's rape. And according to Radio Europe, they published some very interesting statistics. Listen to this. In the year 2000, in England and Wales, again, the year 2000, they registered 8,593 rapes. Okay? Fast forward to the year 2023, the number goes from 8,500 to 68,109. That's what's the increase of that particular activity is over there in England and Wales. So let's check out Germany. In the year 2000, there were 8,133 rapes. And that's, again, year 2000. In the year 2023, the number went from 8,133 to 39,029. Again, what changed? In France, in the year 2000, there were 7,500 rapes. 23 years later, in the year 2023, the number went from 7,500 to 42,400. So, what changed? Put the puzzle pieces together. Think outside the cage, folks. Now, there's another country. Listen to this one. Poland. In the year 2000, there were 2,399 rapes. Okay? Again, that was in the year 2000. So, 23 years later, the rapes went from 2,399 to 1,127. Wow, they went down. They were like cut in half. What happened in Poland? They're not letting in all the immigrants. Okay. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, there's something called the Calgary Plan. And you need to know what the Calgary Plan was. Listen to this.
It's very clear that the Jews want to exterminate the European race. Richard Coudenhove Kalergi, who is the father of the European Union and who was funded by the Jewish bankers Rothschild and Warburg. Now, this man wrote a book called Praktischer Idealismus in 1925, in which he stated that the Jews are a master race and that the Jews can only assume the throne of rule over the world by weakening the European race. and that the means to weakening the European race would be to dissolve all the European nations, destroy all their cultural heritage and their national traditions, and replace that with the European Union, and then to invite in Africans, Middle Easterners, and Asians to dilute the blood of Europeans through miscegenation to the point where they became a degenerate mixed race. And then at that point, these people would no longer have any sense of nationhood, and the ancient Jewish messianic prophecies of world rule out of Jerusalem, with Jews maintaining their nationhood and their national status, it would fulfill the Jewish messianic prophecies that the Jews could then rule the world. And this was completely in line with what Nikolai had written in 1917 and has manifested itself recently with the invasion of immigrants from Africa, from the Middle East, and from Asia into Europe, America, and Australia. And they are deliberately setting about to genocide the white race and destroy all sense of nationhood and of national heritage and national culture in each of our nations.
All across Europe. And let me remind you that Ursula von der Leyen, she is the head of the EU over there. Remember what she said? She said Europe has the values of the Talmud. Of the Talmud? Seriously? I thought Europe was more Christian than anything else, but no, she's going by the values of the Talmud. So, where does this lead us? Again, folks, I mean, I'm not making this stuff up. I'm not stupid, I'm not crazy, and I don't lie. As a matter of fact, getting back to this issue I was just talking about a couple of minutes ago, remember I told you that one of the journalists out there was in a building, it got hit by a missile, and the whole crew went up there to rescue him or retrieve his body. And then that whole crew got blown up by a second missile because Israel was defending itself, right? Okay, here's another report from the BBC, and they're starting to get it. They're starting to figure it out.
The Israeli military, as you probably heard me say there, the IDF have said they are going to investigate. They do not intentionally target people who are not involved in the conflict.
Oh, really?
Well, I hope the BBC will acknowledge that those statements hold no weight at all these days. Those statements saying they are not responsible, they have not meant to do this, has not been borne out by any of the multiple witness statements coming out from healthcare workers and many other people coming out from Gaza. These are deliberate acts. They have been deliberately targeting hospitals. They have been deliberately killing healthcare workers. They have been deliberately abducting and detaining illegally and torturing healthcare workers. So those statements mean nothing to me, and I would hope sincerely that the BBC will recognise that as well.
Well, we're just reporting what the Israeli Defence Forces have said. And they're also, of course, as you will know, they have said many times in the past that hospitals in Gaza have been used by Hamas for military purposes.
Yes, and the BBC will also know that they have interviewed multiple healthcare workers from this country and others who have said there is no evidence whatsoever to support those claims. And indeed, the BBC will also know that the evidence provided by Israel has not been remotely verifiable and not remotely credible. So I think that needs to be acknowledged publicly by our media.
And that's Dr. Nick Maynard, I believe his name is. But so little by little, the information is getting out there. And let me see, there was something else in a related topic that I wanted to share with you, but I don't know where it is right now. But I mean, the world is starting to wake up. Unfortunately, I hate being ahead of my time, and I'm not saying that out of ego, but I mean, my gosh, I've been screaming about this stuff for decades. But and more people are starting to get it. They're starting to put those puzzle pieces together and figure it out. So, well, that's great. But I just hope it's not a matter of too little and too late at this point. But let me see. There was something else that I want. Oh, yes. Where is it? Here it is. There's a guy named Eric Warsaw. He's a social media poster. And he's putting out a lot of good information. And this is kind of sad. But this has to do with the Palestinians and the fact that they are living constantly under the sound of missiles, bombs, and drones. Those drones are overhead all the time, just surveying and looking for targets, etc., etc. And so what one Palestinian teacher did is he wrote a song, and he's got his students to sing the song. The thing is, though, is that it's all based upon the sound of the drones overhead. I mean, think about this, folks. They're writing songs about being bombed by drones. Listen to this.
This is one of the most haunting songs to come out of Gaza in the middle of a genocide. You have to hear this. The constant buzzing from the military drones that are spying on and hunting the Pali. A school teacher made a song with his students while incorporating that evil sound.
لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوطك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالليل يا ليل ويل ويل عالظالمين ويل 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 لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل يا جمالي شيل يا حوطك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالليل ويل ويل عالظالمين ويل 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 لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله شيل شيل على زمالي شيل يا حوطك بالله دم الشهيد معطر بالليل يا ليل ويل ويل عالظالمين ويل 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 لا أسهر على نجوم الليل أنا ناديله.
I think I'll remember that song for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it was written by Ahmed Mouin. That's the teacher's name, and his students. They have the video. They put this video out there. I mean, think about this, folks. I mean, we are living our lives over here in the United States, and yeah, things are not easy for most of us. But think about what these people are going through over there. And now Netanyahu has said that they're making their final push into Gaza. And they've made sure that they've removed all of the journalists. Those who weren't willing to leave got bombed and missiled. So now the world can't watch. The world can't see what's going on. And he's sending 60,000 Israeli troops in there to clean up Gaza. Let that settle in, folks. And that's why I said a little while ago, humanity, this is a test. You have one life, and you're here to learn. You're here to excel. You're here to bring your soul up. And I'm sorry, but most of humanity is failing miserably because they're more concerned, like I keep saying, about American Ninja Warrior or American Idol or Netflix or sports or anything to keep your mind off of reality. And this is why we're failing as a species. And we will fail. I mean, eventually, if we don't get our act together, if we don't open up our eyes and understand that when you hurt somebody else, you hurt yourself. We are all connected. The whole world is connected. And people don't realize that. Now, I don't mean to get off on some esoteric subject and proselytize or anything, but I mean, we all know the difference between right and wrong. And what's going on across the board is wrong. It is absolutely horrendous. And God help all these people that have been behind this, because you're all going to be exposed. A lot of people now are taking a good hard look at AIPAC, the American Israeli Political Action Committee, and how many of our elected officials have been paid off. And I'll tell you, what price treason? What price? Would you betray your country for $1? No. Would you do it for $100? No. Would you do it for $1,000? No. Would you do it for $10,000? Would you do it for $100,000? Keep going. Would you do it for $1 million? Where do I sign? Yeah, that's what we're up against, folks. Is this the United States of Israel? I would have to say yes at this point, because every one of your elected officials is in the back pocket of Israel. And you look at industry. You look at pharmaceuticals, you look at the oil industry, you look at communications. Every single one of them is headed up by People that have that star of Remphan. No, it's not the Star of David. David didn't have a star. Remphan had a star, the star of Moloch, the star of Baal, the star of Satan. Now, again, it doesn't make any difference what I believe. Doesn't make any difference what you believe. What matters is what they believe. And as Ursula von der Leyen said, Europe has the values of the Talmud. The Talmud is openly satanic. The Rothschilds, who were instrumental in creating the Zionist state of Israel, they are openly satanic. And again, it doesn't, Dave, you're a conspiracy. Well, do your own doggone research. I triple dog dare you. Do a search of Jacob Rothschild and Marina Abramovic and look for the images. And you'll see a picture of Marina Abramovic, who is an openly worldwide known and recognized satanic priestess. Yes, she has her spirit cooking rituals. And you look at her artwork and you can't say it's anything other than satanic, with blood and goats' heads and snakes and all kinds of stuff like that, children tied up with blood on them. This is Marina Abramovic. And what do you know? She's standing right next to Jacob Rothschild in front of a portrait of Satan releasing his legions. Now, don't tell me they have any good intentions. So if this whole state of the Zionist state of Israel was created by the Rothschilds, is this a good thing or is it a bad thing? Are these truly God's chosen people? Are they truly is Israel truly just defending itself? Well, there was a doctor that basically gave this report about all the injuries that were coming in, all the children who were being shot, sniped at by the IDF defending itself. Listen to what he had to say.
And I've seen, I think, probably a dozen now seriously injured young boys who have been shot in the abdomen or the chest. One of them, a 12-year-old, died on the operating table because the injuries were so severe. And they're all from gunshot wounds. And they all described to me, and their families described to me, and indeed colleagues of mine, Gazan medical colleagues who are looking for food as well, have gone to these same distribution sites and witnessed these injuries as well. They're all describing that they're being shot by Israeli soldiers or by the quadcopters, the drones which are being remotely controlled by the Israelis and fire, often indiscriminately, often targeted. And I'm seeing we're all seeing a very clear pattern of injuries. I've seen the abdominal injuries, but my colleagues in the emergency room describe a very clear pattern where on particular days they'll see different body parts targeted.
Listen to this.
One day they'll all be abdominal gunshot wounds. On another day they'll all be head gunshot wounds or neck gunshot wounds. On another day they'll be arm or leg gunshot wounds. And on last Saturday there were 4 young teenage boys, all brought in very, very rapidly in succession with gunshot wounds to their testicles.
Okay, this is target practice. This is target practice for these IDF soldiers. Hey, let me see. We're going to hit this guy and this kid in the crotch. Let me see how many crotch shots we can have. How many? Okay, today what? No, today we're on the head shots. Okay, today we're going to shoot out the knees. These are God's chosen people, right?
So they're clearly being targeted to their testicles. And this is a pattern that we're seeing every day, that these young teenage boys are systematically being targeted. And it's almost as if a game is being played, that they're deciding to shoot the head today and the neck tomorrow and the testicles the day after.
I don't know. I have no words for that. I don't know. How would you describe this? And the thing that's amazing, that is absolutely gobsmacking, jaw-dropping, head exploding, is that somehow, some way, thanks to the mainstream media, the majority of the American people are on board. Yeah, Israel's our greatest ally. Keep in mind, folks, a lie told often enough becomes the truth. 6 million. Hamas. Israel's our greatest enemy. Israel has a right to defend itself. God's chosen people. Holocaust. 6 million. Holocaust. God's chosen people. Over and over and over again. But I'll tell you, more and more people are seeing through this. And again, for those of you who are in positions of power, for those of you members of Congress or the Senate or President Trump, that's right, Trump, and I know this is Red State Talk Radio. Most of you out there are conservatives. But I mean, how can we justify what's going on now? How can we possibly understand or grope or wrap our heads around the concept that Israel has got to be first? I have to take my hands off for Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I think there are just a couple of other members of Congress that have not accepted money from AIPAC. Thank you for doing so. But all the rest of you members of Congress, how many, 535 members? I mean, at least 525 of them are all on the payroll from AIPAC. And Mike Huckabee over there, I mean, my gosh, he's just sucking up. He's just sucking up to Bibi Netanyahu and the IDF. And all the members, the Republican members of Congress just got back from their little vacation over to Israel. Yeah, while Congress is in recess, they should be in their states, in their respective districts, taking care of business for the people who they're supposed to represent. But no, they had to hop on a plane for an all-expensive vacation in Israel, where I guarantee you that one of these three words comes to play: bribery, coercion, blackmail. Yeah, you better stay on board with this Israel thing, or else something bad could happen to you. Yeah, I mean, that's how they play it, folks. And so now the Republican contingency has returned to the United States. And so now there's a Democratic contingency that's over there having, being wined and dined and fed and showing all the glory and the wonderful things having to do with Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. They're being given a red carpet tour. Oh, man, I don't know. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? Well, there's a young woman that put this out. I had to edit the heck out of this thing so I could make it worthy for air. Listen to this.
You've infiltrated every aspect of American society. You've infiltrated our government. You've bought our politicians. You control our legislation. You've funneled billions and billions of dollars, possibly trillions, from the American people on a yearly basis so that you can get free health care and go brutalize, terrorize, and genocide people in Palestine. Then run away to your real homes in Europe and New York, New Jersey, wherever the fuck you're actually fucking from. And go live your lives. Go live your lives like you didn't just fucking murder children. Now, you pieces of fucking scum are on every single major news channel because you own the media too. Because you fucking infiltrated that too. Now you're on every single fucking news station playing victim. They want to kill all the... Nobody...
No, I'm going to take her out of there. I tell you, she is on fire, and well, she should be. Oh, man. Well, guess what? If you're supporting Israel, it's all going to come down, folks. It really, really is. So it's time to figure out where your line in the sand is. And if you don't have one, you better find it quick. Because how do they say they're coming home to roost, folks. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's installment of the WTF Reports. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. If so, please visit our website, TheWTFReports.com, and do business with our sponsors. That's how we keep the lights on. All right, that said, I'm going to be out of here. I'll be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday. So until then, please be safe, be free. God bless you all, and I'll see you tomorrow.